The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. It is myself, Chris, your host tonight, joined by Decker and Bestie. I've just realised you're still wearing that coat.
Honestly, that's why what happened. I'm absolutely freezing here. Like, I'm honestly, I'm colder now than I was at the match on Saturday.
So people are just listening to the audio. Decker is wearing, what's that style coat called these days?
I call it a bench coat.
A bench coat.
I think that's what they were called when Essex and Adidas did them in the 90s, and I had them. But
so it's the Arsene Wenger less padded coat.
Yeah.
Down to your shins.
It is. It's long.
Last season's, is it?
It is last season.
I tried to get
it's
one,
nicer than
but I
last
ordered
season.
the wrong size when I was on sale, so I got a small one. And bless.
What about the coat?
To all it has been chilly out, like. With all the goodwill in the world, even if there wasn't an ounce of fat on us, I'm not getting in a small coat. Like,
well, this is a medium, and it's a lovely fit. Like, but
I'll rub it in.
I've got the 90, like the Keegan one. You know what I mean? But I try to just keep that for like just games because it's in such good condition. I don't want to wear it all the time.
Wearing it for Christmas dinner and that.
Exactly, yeah. Because I just get
weddings.
Just get wrecked. You know?
It's right, like.
We should make that a thing, just where you start wearing that just to weddings.
What, we mean Keegan code?
Yeah, Keegan code just to weddings.
For best.
It should be approved.
Yeah.
It's the best code ever. It's the best code ever.
It is.
The three white.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
90
I've got the drill
one.
top as well. That matches.
I am about that.
Every time I wear it at matches, there'll always be someone that'll go like, "Oh, I meant like nice jacket." Someone tried to buy it. It was Liverpool, didn't they? He was like, "I'll buy it off you, £500 and that."
I've got a tip for any listeners or watchers, viewers, as they call them. If you're looking at one of those ones, not those ones, the Adidas ones on eBay or on anything, don't buy them now. Because they're like £400-500 now. Just wait until Adidas reissue them in a year or two. They'll drop right down in price. Might be the thick end of £100, like, but don't pay £200 or £300 for that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they'll definitely drop down in price.
Yeah.
As you will be able to see, Mr. Mark Walker is not with us this evening.
You might as well have been.
He could have actually done it, yeah. So obviously, Mark being the Bundesliga expert, we've actually sent him to Germany.
Yeah, he's on an assignment.
So he's on a scouting mission and also watch Newcastle United. So Mark is in Germany. I think he's landed now.
He'd be thereabouts.
Bless him. He's had a horrible time, hasn't he?
Has he been stuck in the airport all that time?
So no.
Has he not?
No. So I think he was supposed to get the train down yesterday to London because his flight was from one of the London airports. I'm not sure which one. I think he had a bit of a delay there on the train. It took him half a day to get down to London. Then obviously he gets a text message this morning. I think he got the text message just saying, by the way, your flight's been cancelled, mate.
Yeah. When that went in the group, I fell from. I thought it might have been a tomorrow job. You know, he's always going to make the game, like, thankfully, but
it just got obviously shifted later this afternoon.
Yeah.
I think he's there now, and he'll be meeting up with the rest of the lads.
hope you have a terrible time, mate.
So Mark isn't, but yeah, boys, we've got quite a few talking points tonight, believe it or not.
A few, aye.
There's a few.
I'm not sure many of it's going to be about football as such, and like gameplay, more of a reaction to it. But let's just dive straight in. If anybody does have any questions, send them our way, and we'll go through them as obviously towards the end of the show, and as many as possible tonight. We will do that. We'll be going for around about an hour as well. Where do we start with this? So we'll jump straight into the game itself, and let's be honest, it's the Havertz challenge is probably the first talking point anyway, because before that it was a pretty even game, you could say. It was a great game to watch, I would say, from a neutral's point of view. For me, I'm a nervous wreck watching that.
Yeah, well, I put in in my lads chat, like my mates and that, like they some of them are Sunderland fans, right? Because as I've mentioned, I'm from Shields, so it's a bit split down the middle. And like I kind of said to them at the end of the game, I was like, maybe for people watching at home, it might not have been the best of games to watch. It wasn't very pretty. It wasn't much good attack and play. Hence, the arguments about you've only had one shot on goal and all that. I personally absolutely loved that game. Like I thought I enjoyed every minute of it. I just thought both teams, to be fair to Arsenal as well, I know we'll slag them off later, but them give everything they had. Right, tactically it was solid from both sides. Both teams were going on at full tilt, like the tackles were flying in, and it was really a midfield scrap for most of the game. To be quite honest, you know what I mean. And other than probably Wilson's chance, I think in the first half that he blazed over, which I was in line with, he should score. To be fair, there wasn't really much, was it? Like because it was a scrap. You know what I mean. And to be fair, if I'm being honest, I thought Arsenal probably edged the first half, and there was moments where I thought Arsenal were really controlling the game, to be fair. But then, obviously, I think it took the Havertz challenge for the game to flip a little bit, and I think certainly as fans, we obviously got massively up for it at that point.
Yeah, basically we've seen this so many times over the years where the wrong decision works. Obviously, it goes against Newcastle United, but we're saying the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even the wrong decision, but what we feel as if is the wrong decision, it goes against us. That obviously gets the crowd on that next level against the referee, and that's when I love seeing James's Park the most.
That's when it's at its most hostile, I would say. And you hear about people saying how hard it is for opposing players to play at St James's, and I think that's those instances, and when it's like we feel wronged, and everyone's kind of, and every decision, and the referee was awful. I mean, getting away from what we're going to talk about later, even away from the red card things, the goal. Just little things that were happening right throughout the game. The referee just didn't have control whatsoever. He was terrible, inconsistent. Oh, again, we'll come to that later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, those little things when you're in part of a crowd like that, it accumulates and it becomes louder, and you kind of feed off one another in that regard. And they're my favourites. There's not many games I've been to with a brilliant atmosphere that haven't been like that.
Yeah,
Arsenal a couple of years ago, ironically, was one of them when we beat them 3-0. When that was
season
it was just jubilation all the way through. But this one was it was one of those ones where I remember the League Cup final when people around me weren't really making any kind of noise at all, and I was getting really like cross with them, thinking like, oh, this is like, it almost feels, and I know you don't really affect as an individual what happens, but you feel as though you're part of like this, the 12th man cliche.
Yeah,
and I think that.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's how it feels at times at St James's, and it did on Saturday.
It must be incredibly intimidating to play in that. Not for Newcastle players, because in the past, years and years go by, there's been this type of volume of aggression, if you like, but it's actually been aimed at some of our own players back in the day.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's harnessed in such a way that it's positivity or it's anger at the referee, and I think for the opposition to play, it must be really tough. Like, it must be really tough.
I bet it is as well. I remember hearing about, I did a stadium tour. I mean, I'm talking early 90s, mid 90s here. And the fella who was taking me around was talking about Darren Anderton. And he said he could hear and this is when St James was only 35,000. And he said Anderton was in the tunnel, like shitting himself, basically, ready to go. And this is like England International, played at White Hart Lane for however, as long as he did. I might have still been a postman at this point. But he said he was like young and he was just like, he wasn't up for it at all. And I have heard that it was, one of our players, Steve Guppy, could never handle it, apparently. Right. Apparently, Guppy just couldn't. The noise was too much for him.
It's got to be tough.
Went to Celtic and did really well, so I don't know how
true
that is like. But
It does. It's got to be really tough, and even more so for the referee after those sort of decisions, because he got it, and obviously we'll talk about it now. So from our seat, basically, really obviously not far from me.
Yeah.
But we could see the flight and the elevation that Havertz got off the ground, because he went flying into that challenge.
No control there at all. I mean, it used to be that you got a red card for that anyway. I remember we played Everton at Goodison a few years ago. They beat 1-0, and there was a foul on St Maximin. It was from behind, but it wasn't as bad a foul as bad a challenge as Havertz on Saturday there. And it was because he was out of control. That was I don't know if that's changed. But Havertz is out of control, and he does catch him with his leading foot.
So the statement was reckless, not dangerous.
It's dangerous. Like if Mianti had tits, I'll get that one in now. But if Longstaff's foot's 2 inches further forward, he's got a broken leg. You know?
Yeah.
Where were you sat in the ground, Decker?
I was in the Milburn stand, like left of the dugout. So if I'm being really honest, in real time,
you would have been blocked quite a bit, were you?
Yeah. So I seen him coming across, obviously, and I thought you knew what was coming. Like the second he started doing his stride towards him, you knew he was going to lunge. But by the time he was in the air, people had stood up already. So I missed it. Right, fair enough. But you could tell by the player's reaction, Jesus, that's a bad one. You know,
the referee ran over. We had his yellow card in his hand immediately.
Already made it.
I know, so quick. Yeah, so quick. Now, obviously, we'll come back to something in a minute, but obviously seeing it back at home, the first thing I seen was still photographs, you know, where like well, that is the most blatant red card you'll ever see. Now, obviously, when you continue that slow motion, he obviously doesn't really make contact with that dangerous leading leg. But
there's a slight connection.
Yeah, it's a slight one.
Despite what the Arsenal fans are currently saying, and there's a lot of them saying this.
Is that what they're saying? Is that
even though, just have a look at my timeline. I've had a field day the last couple of days. They're saying that, yes, if Longstaff had connected with his right foot, then that would have, then been a red card. If you go and look at the video back and rather just the still, there is it's ever so slight the connection, but you can see Longstaff's sock move. You can see the Castolo on the back, the sock move. There's Arsenal fans watching that clip still arguing with me right now, saying that I've watched the video and I can't see any connection whatsoever, which blows my absolute mind. I'm not sure if it's just sheer stupidity or they just don't want to admit
I think it's a willingness not to see it.
It's stubbornness, isn't it, not to see it against their club? And sometimes you could say we're blind of that.
All little bubble
well.
they're in at the minute.
Yeah. The still, you think, my God, that is the most blatant red card ever. And this is why I have to say I'm not always a fan of seeing things in still.
Yeah.
And I will come on to something later, hence why I put it in the group, about how a still photo can look.
Yeah. It removes it from kind of context, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. However, though, there's no way you can't say that that's not dangerous play. Like, you can't. Like, that is, and I think he's incredibly lucky to stay on the field. To be honest, really,
it's a deep orange card at the very best for me. Like it's a very, it's not a good in that. Like,
no, it's not. And I think what made matter in the moment, what made matters really worse. Personally, 3 of our lads got booked, and I could
one of them being Longstaff.
I could not believe it. I could not believe that they've getting the same punishment as the person who arguably could have broke someone's leg.
Yeah,
and 3 of our lads come out. Basically, we walked away from that entire incident worse off.
Yeah, we did.
I couldn't work that one out. I couldn't work that one out.
Bestie, did it frustrate you that the referee had already made his decision?
Massively, yeah.
Just taking it all in just for a second and standing away from the commotion and just...
You could see the way he ran over, he knew. I mean, Lascelles was straight in there giving Havertz a bit of a push. And it was one of those ones where it's like there's a magnet and everyone on the pitch just seems to be attracted to this one point. And the referee he started running, and within 2 or 3 steps he's got the yellow card in his hand.
Yeah.
I think, well, you've bottled it straight away, you haven't thought about it, you just looked at it, haven't taken it, and he was wrong. And they did look at it, VAR, didn't I think?
They look at everything.
Yeah.
Everything they look at.
The thing I was going to ask you was, if you think he had pulled out a red card, does it get overturned to be yellow?
No.
Because there's not a chance, is there? There's not a chance. So I just find that really strange. I think we've said this a lot of times with VAR that, you know, he gives a yellow and they won't overturn it, but equally if there's a red, he wouldn't overturn that. He wouldn't overturn that either.
I think that kind of applies for the goal as well for me. Like, but that's one for
a
bit later in,
a bit later
in the show.
So I think with that decision, yes, VAR check it, but it's really, you would expect it to take a lot longer to check that than what it actually did.
Yeah, it felt quite quick.
There was
a lot of pushing and shoving going on. So
yeah, there was. And at that moment, when the referees lost the game, and obviously, Decker, you mentioned 3 yellow cards of Brand, obviously shown 2. It is
Longstaff,
Shea, and Gordon.
Was it Gordon? Was it?
It's Gordon. Yeah. So Gordon is just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the referee's already showed the 2 yellow cards to the other lads, and Gordon's making his way over to see his piece, and that's when Gordon gets a yellow card as well.
He gets more cards than I get for Christmas, Gordon. Like,
the Shea, Gordon, and Joelinton are the ones, aren't they? Just get your money on them. Like,
all seem like quite a lot of it.
Not you, but yeah.
And do you know what? It's from that moment where the referee loses the game, and then that's when Bruno thinks, hang on a second, I've got a bit of a free rein here.
Tell you what, mind. That one where he landed on the back of the head.
Well, that's the next incident. It's only 10 minutes later.
No, it is.
If that.
Can you remember he did one, we played someone earlier in the season, he did something really similar. That was PSG. PSG, at the edge of the box, and for no reason, he just clobbers his kid in the back of the head.
Can you remember?
Why are you doing that?
I couldn't find it on thingy. Now, it's not a punch or a swing, but can you remember that time when he went 2-footed on someone, missed him? It was last season when the lad's running away and he just absolutely goes for him.
I remember what you mean. Yeah.
Just 2-footed stamp, but he misses him completely. Listen, he cannot be doing that. Like, you can't do that. Like, you cannot do it. Especially, I mean, in Vinnie Jones's day, and Roy Keane's and that. But in today's game, I am stunned how he got away with that. Absolutely stunned.
So this is where we're going to be unbiased. Yeah, unlike the Arsenal fans who like to say Havertz shouldn't have seen a red card. Bruno should have picked up that red card all day long, without a shadow of doubt.
Like that. You can't do stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
I think even I watched the game when I got home because again in the ground, I didn't see any of that. Like I never seen Bruno do anything.
I saw the player go down.
I did as well, and I was going, "Hey, soft as out, man, get up." And I got home and watched it now, and then the Sky commentators were saying, "Oh well, it's not his elbow." I'm sorry, like
Still,
you
yeah.
cannot do that.
There's no justification for it.
Not
Not at all.
It's just
Like,
mental. Like,
it's not as if you could understand if he's trying to push him out. He's like, like get past him.
Yes.
But you can see the follow through when it was Lee Henry was on
Totally
Sky
on
Sports,
purpose,
and he
isn't it?
just it's a foul. It's a red card. That it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like I say, he did it against PSG as well. Got away with that. He's next time he does it, he's off. Like, and he will do it again.
well, he did it it wasn't right. I wasn't hurting anyone, but it was a bit of a rash sliding tackle.
Just before
That as well. And I take your point that he's probably wound up from the Havertz and he's maybe just wound up by all of it, right? And I understand that. But at the same point, though, how has to have a word with him and say, mate, how
You got away with that one.
you got away with that one. Let's be clever here. Like, and I know we know how passionate Bruno is. We've seen him cry when he missed a penalty. We've seen him very emotional. That's another side of his game, that he's so involved in the moment and the crowd and everything else that he just likes to punch someone or lash out at someone. You just can't do it. You can't do it, mate. But thankfully we're getting away with that one.
I've seen the one where he pushes him over and tells him to get up straight
Oh,
away.
hey.
I like that one.
Well, that was quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so he runs in the back. Is it Jorginho again that he runs in the back of?
It might be, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is, but he runs in the back and just absolutely clatters him and tells him to get up as if he hasn't touched
I think
him.
immediately it's class. I like that one. But the red card thing, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I think he got away with it. Maybe it's more than anyone else, but it's,
but he will get caught if he keeps on doing this.
Absolutely,
There'll be one game which he gets caught, and he's a type of player that we can't be missing for 3 games.
well, not given that everyone else is bloody injured at the minute.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, we'll get a game for but shortly. But I would like to just have to say this. I'd like to say the referees do the homework. I mean, I'm not so sure of the performances I see of VAR and stuff, but I still believe that will be reviewed. Later on and go, listen, you need to be careful, watch out for this and watch out for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They have to be. I know they're not the best in the world, but they will look at stuff like that and go, you need to watch out next time, because this is twice he's done that. He's done it twice. If we know that, then we'll know that. You would think anyway.
Yeah.
But,
then we're not going against what we used to say about Shelby, where Shelby used to get punished but quite a bit for just because of who he was.
100%, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. If you start doing that all the time. Barton was the same, rightfully. Shelby, as you mentioned, you literally go for any tackle, he was in big trouble. You had Hayden on the other side would fly into challenges, and that was all right. But when Shelby even tried to go to ground, even the whole ground used to gasp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it got ridiculous at one stage. But he's just got to be more careful. He's got to be more. Because I think more he's head.
So he did pick up his caution later on in the game. I think it was not the last 10 minutes of the game. He gets a yellow card eventually, Bruno. He could have got one, God knows how many times before that. And the yellow card, which he gets at, I think. So actually, before the yellow card, he pushes Declan Rice away. Declan Rice running over to argue with someone, and Bruno just runs up to him and pushes him in the chest at one point, just out of nowhere. Yeah. Then the next one, you can argue he's trying to protect the ball, really, but his arm goes out and he connects to the neck.
In NFL, it's a hell of a good stiff arm. If he's a running back in the NFL, but you can't do that.
I think out of all of the things we talked about, the one that he got booked for was the least
100%
the least heinous.
Absolutely, because the lad holds his face.
Yeah,
he never hit
there was a lot of that, mind.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that. The lad, I don't know his name, stands in front of me. He's been there for years, and he was furious because he was saying he's right. You go down doing trying to get somebody sent off. That should be a yellow card as much as a dive is.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was a few went down holding their face when they hadn't been touched.
Well, he got definitely in the chest area.
I can say.
And he goes down holding his eye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just horrendous crap.
It's pathetic.
Do you think as the game went on, Bruno thought, "Hang on, I need to get booked here"? Because obviously it's Bournemouth game coming out, and that's the fixture which he's going to be missing. If not, and he got booked during the Bournemouth game, it's going to be the Chelsea fixture.
I don't know, because we were terrible at Bournemouth last season, so
I don't think you'd be thinking like that.
See, I think you would.
See, a lot of people, I spoke to a lot of people here said, he just got booked because he knows he's missing Bournemouth. Nah. For me, I think I think Bruno plays so much in the minute that's all he's thinking about in that minute. I really do. Because if you think like that, then he wouldn't elbow him in the head because he'd get banned for 2 games or even 3. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
I mean? It's
but then I think that's the emotional side of Bruno rather than the clever side of him coming out.
I'd say that. Yeah.
And Ian comments in there saying, do you think that Bruno booking was a blessing in disguise? Obviously, considering now he's going to be missing against Bournemouth rather than Chelsea. I'm sure it's Chelsea after that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to lose him for any game. Of course we don't, but I think that's have to be realistic. He probably would have gotten booked at Bournemouth and then he would have missed the next game.
Is it Dortmund, Bournemouth, Chelsea?
I think so, yeah.
International break.
Yeah. I think so. But yeah, Bruno does get his yellow card. Obviously, he's going to be missing that game. And do you think, obviously, with Joe Willock being back now, Bestie, that's okay? Or is it not going to be such a huge miss, Bruno? I know obviously different sort of players, but
they are. But
Willock's back.
I think Willock. I mean, who's that leaving in the middle? Willock, Joelinton, Sean Longstaff, who's played a lot of football. Longstaff, I suppose Miley's there as well, going to bench maybe. I mean, you're going to miss Bruno. Any team in the Premier League, and I mean any team in the Premier League, if Bruno goes missing for you, then you're missing him. You know, what you lose out with a team, it's hard to replace. Willock coming back can only be a benefit anyway because he's been brilliant since he came back.
Fantastic, isn't he?
I mean, I was surprised he came on against Dortmund the other week. I thought, guys, I didn't even know he was back in training. And then to play the way he did at Old Trafford last Wednesday and then again at the weekend there, like it can only be a good thing for him. And I suppose you can play Longstaff with Bruno and with Joelinton and Willock either side, or you know the two kind of with one pivot and the two ahead of him, and it's a good side still that. And then you've got Gordon left, you've got Wilson can go through the middle, you've got Mickey can go on the right. There's not much beyond that. Now that Murphy's arm keeps dropping off, and obviously Barnes is out until like God knows how long. But it's I suppose that's where we always talk about the. It's weird because we talk about that we've got more strength and depth now, and we have. But then when you look at the bench, there's been a game recently where we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench, like 6, 7 fullbacks. We started Old Trafford last week with, I think, a defence full of fullbacks, pretty much. Yeah. So we have got more strength and depth, but when you look at the extent of the injuries we've got, we're getting towards a point now where like there's not much left.
But like on the bones, aren't we now?
Big style, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to be fair. We're in trouble. Like we are in trouble. We're down to the absolute bare bones, and I think. You know, the Man United game, in a sense, right? You've seen how depleted that team was, and they're still in an unbelievable job.
Fantastic job.
You know what I mean? One of the best, really. Actually, to be fair, I know I appreciate Man United struggling, but I wish we didn't have Dortmund tomorrow. I can honestly say that. Like, I appreciate. Obviously, it's going to be still great, and I'm so pleased with the people that are there. But I mean, just from a squad aspect,
you just feel.
I wish it wasn't yet. Yeah, just a bit of a break would have been nice. You know what I mean? But it's really, really tough at the minute. And you've got, you know, even little things like Targa going down injured. You know what I mean? Like I know people might not necessarily think much of that one, but it's still a body, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
Anderson's a miss as well now, and
Anderson, of course, yeah.
I mean, it's just awful. Like, it's just not good.
Targa going down, then Burns out for 2 months now. At least
I know.
Like all of a sudden, we're down to we've got Lewis Hawke playing. And Lewis Hawke, who's fine at left back, bad looks of things. And then it's probably like Dummett or Richie. And Dummett's played more as a centre half recently. Richie's popped up on the right hand side, hasn't he? He came on.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at possibly Trippier playing left back. Given how amazing this kid is on the right, you know, like he can come in and do an amazing job. Man of the match twice against Manchester clubs. He came on Saturday and was immense against Martinelli on Saturday. Immense.
Yeah, he was.
Play of the tournament, the Carabao Cup at this moment.
He is, definitely, yeah. But again, you're changing things, aren't you? Like moving Trippier to the left, to me, you do that in almost an emergency. And I know Trippier can play there, but it's not how I said it, is it? It's not who we are, right?
You take one of your best players out of his field positions.
All of a sudden, we're starting to have to, you know, swap and change. And I'm not saying they're not capable. It's just not ideal, far from ideal. Actually.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Let's talk about the goal, boys.
Yeah.
Because I think this might take up a big chunk of time there. So it's right in front of us once again. Bestie where Willock grafts his arse off.
It's brilliant because it's
keep the ball into play.
It's a lost cause, that like. I mean,
it's gone.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else on the pitch would have chased it like that. Maybe Murphy, but he had the shot, so he's like you do.
I'll probably argue Gordon would probably do it.
Yeah, maybe Gordon. Aye.
Not to take the mic off you, but I do want to say, have you ever seen 2 subs both make an impact as fast as that?
No.
When I watched it back at home, the names hadn't come off the screen yet, you know, for the substitutions. Yeah. They hadn't come off the screen, and Murphy had the shot and Willock picked the ball up. Yeah. I thought that was quite amazing.
No, it was immediate. And when you think it was for Gordon, Gordon came inside. It was Wilson went off.
Yes.
Was it Miggy for Murphy? It was, yeah. It was Miggy because then, and it was immediate, and it was the only thing Murphy did. Next thing Murphy did was chase the ball through the middle. He's like, his shoulder popped out. You see him walking up, his arm was like that.
He couldn't put his arm down, could he?
It was really, really like, it just looked uncomfortable. Obviously, I've never had a dislocated shoulder before, but it didn't look very nice. But yeah, it was Willock, the way he chased it down, and I honestly at the time thought he kept it in, and it looked. And it's the comparison's been made loads over the past couple of days that Japan won from the World Cup.
Absolutely right.
Where the one angle, and it's inconclusive. The one angle it looks over the line, but then that's not the angle that they go off. They've got to try and work out, you know, from the top down. And it's like when they take a corner now, when they put the ball outside the D or the quadrant.
Yes,
good. But it still overlaps a little bit, so it's fine. And it's one of those ones. That's one I said earlier. If it's the other way around, it probably doesn't get overturned. I think certainly that one in the reported foul by Joelinton. If the referee had blown up for that and said that's a foul, VAR wouldn't have overturned that.
Yeah, no, I
but
agree
again, I don't think VAR got it wrong on that one either. I don't think that's conclusive. Ian Wright's going mad about it, but he's an Arsenal man. Gary Neville says, I know what he's trying. Yeah, I know what it was. Gabriel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He says, I know what he's trying to do there. He's trying to flick it away with his head because he's arched his back and he's done that with his head. And I've done that, and I think that's a foul, says Gary Neville. I think David Rea should do better. Cross comes in and he just kind of drops beneath it. He's
a terrible goalkeeper.
I don't think he is a bad goalkeeper, but he gets that one wrong there totally.
Yeah, he's far too forward. But so your view, Bestie, though, because you would have probably been pretty in line with the actual line itself. Whereas where I sit, like shielding the ball, I can't see if the ball's gone out. He just guessing he has, obviously, the way he reacts and jumps over the corner flag and then obviously knocks the ball back in. Obviously, we score the goal, then it goes to VAR Decker, and the announcer comes on and says, VAR check, ball out of play. 2 seconds later, VAR check, handball. VAR check, foul. VAR check, offside. Man, I've never heard that ever before.
I've never. Mind the Tottenham game, I've just done 2 or 3.
Yeah, apparently there's no VAR check in the Spurs game at this moment in time.
I was hoping something like this happened because it might deflect from us a little bit because there's hell on here. But I think to have my say on the goal, the offside is sorry, apologise. The ball out of play. They've definitely done the right thing on that one. Now, of course, you see that there is one angle we've all seen. That ball looks out. I mean, let's be fair. To the naked eye, when I look at that, it's out. Yeah. But when you reference what you've just said, Bessie, about a corner in regards to the ball. And it was funny, I was demonstrating to my father-in-law on Sunday when I went home for Sunday dinner, and I was on his bench like this, and I put something there, and I went, stand there and tell me if that looks like it's over the line or not. And he went, no, it's not. And I said, right, now come along the line of your table. And he went, oh, that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? I was trying to explain to me. So I can understand that one. Now, don't get us wrong, right? If it was the other way around, I'd be absolutely fuming. But I will say, I'm still a bit surprised that the Joelinton one wasn't given a foul. And from what I'll say, the screenshot that Ian Wright shared again, and I put in the group, is that looks a foul all day long. Yeah. In that motion, his hands on the back of his head.
It's still shot. Yeah,
it looks like a foul. But if you watch it in the actual, in real time, or certainly in even slow motion, he is diving forward. He's diving with his head down anyway. If that makes sense. So his actual position that he finds himself in, Gabriel, Joelinton hasn't actually done that to him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I know his hands look in a bad position, but I was surprised, though, looking back at that video, I didn't think that was a foul. I'm not saying it was, I'm just saying I'm surprised them
because
didn't.
Of how the defender reacts, though, because he's defying gravity there. Like, if Joelinton is pushing him with such force, he's going down, not up. And he does a little bit of a leap.
Well, he does jump forward, doesn't he? Like, he's trying to...
flings his legs up.
Because if I do what I want to
do,
do, I'll leave the mic when I try to do it. But, like, yeah, it just... The thing is, and I've mentioned about how I don't like that freeze frames are used, is that Joelinton really looked an enemy in some of them photos. Like, you cannot deny that. His hands look on the back of his head. It looks terrible, you know what I mean? But in the actual full motion of it, it probably isn't a foul. But then to reference what you've said there again, I mean, I've never seen that in my life. Like, I was just expecting, like, the next one, checking Club Badge or something. I was expecting, I thought this was a comedy. Like, it was just over and over again, you know? And that the thing was, is the atmosphere was... There's one check bad enough. When it got to the third one, I thought if we don't get this goal here, people might actually physically run on the pitch.
It's mad.
It was like fever pitch, like
the way a football fan looks at it as well, because basically us in the ground are thinking they're trying to find out as many ways possible to rule this goal out. Yeah. And Arsenal fans are thinking they're looking at this to try and award this goal to Newcastle, which is mental.
It's mad how you can see the same thing as somebody else and have a completely different perspective. Yeah. Like if it had been an Arsenal fan next, like Robbie or whatever, I missed that day, what I call him. They'll be going berserk. But looking at exactly the same as what we've seen, looking at the action, but just having a different perspective on it.
Which is what I don't get, Bestie, because we're all looking at that Havertz challenge and saying, yes, it's a red card. We're looking at the Bruno one and saying, yes, that's a red card. Obviously, we're looking at the goal as Newcastle fans, but you can understand why Arsenal fans are kicking off to a certain degree. But then you can also think, well, there wasn't enough evidence to say that goal shouldn't have stood. Yeah. And the whole point of VAR is for obvious errors, which the referee has made. And at no point has he made a clear and obvious mistake in that build-up to the goal or the goal itself.
See, again, that's
the point of VAR, isn't it?
Yeah, VAR's getting loads of stick here, and VAR did nothing wrong.
It's done its job right.
It actually did it right,
and it hasn't really done so far since it's been introduced, but they get it right that time.
100%, they did get it right. Well, yeah, and to flip it, there'll be Arsenal fans out there, I think, if that was absolutely reversed, right? You know, change the shirts around, right? They'd probably say, well, the ball hasn't gone out of play, it's proven. or they didn't have enough evidence.
Yep.
And he's already diving forward. And he didn't really push him in the back.
Yep.
That's what I think them would say.
Yeah.
And that is ridiculous. That actually to think that. Do you know what I mean? Like
But no, apparently it's Saudi officials which are bribing referees. We're at that pesky business
It was
again.
something to do with it was not the VAR people, whoever's in charge of it at the weekend, were getting paid by the Saudis to do something.
Apparently done some game in Saudi or something like that. Yeah.
Corruption.
Which, let's be honest, it doesn't really look good on paper. Once again, as a still, it doesn't look good on paper. But
Yeah.
referees aren't throwing games in the Premier League in Newcastle's favour. Far from it.
it's just nonsense, man. It's just absolute nonsense. Like,
Not if the referees were throwing games in our favour in the Premier League, we would have got far more decisions on Saturday. The amount of little things that the referee got wrong in Arsenal's favour. I thought he was a poor referee right across the board.
Terrible.
But there's little things that happen, little niggles, that throw-ins getting taken 20 yards, 30 yards up the pitch, and then he's telling us to go, no, that's not where he went out, go back there.
Yeah.
And Lord, if it was genuinely corrupt, it wouldn't be that. It would be like, we wouldn't have 3 players booked after Havertz tried to break Longstaff's leg.
Yeah.
Havertz
Oh, no, but that's part of
exactly.
the cover up, that.
yeah.
Is that
Havertz would-
just-
Yeah, that's
So
part of
is
the cover up.
Is that like staying 2 cars back?
Yeah.
Thing, is it, right?
Do them think the officials are that clever? Like, is that if them honestly believe they're as clever as that? How are man?
Honestly, it's absolutely crazy. And I think we'll have to address, like, it was it Arteta that classed Newcastle as master of the dark arts?
Yeah.
Was that him or Klopp? It was one of them.
It was
if I
one of them.
remember
Like,
right.
yeah, he was.
One of them.
It was Arteta the first down there.
Yeah.
It was 0-0.
I thought it was.
We did.
Yeah, that's
Next
what
time
we
around.
did.
Well, yeah, I get
did.
it, though.
We did. But they come to our house at the weekend in St James's Park, and they're wasting time from the kickoff.
They did it last season as well.
They did. So Ria's taken a good 10, 15 seconds every single time that ball goes out of play.
Yeah.
Declan Rice is tying shoelaces the length of a bungee cord.
Yeah. Well,
About 4 minutes it took him to tie his
Well, I
bootlace.
lost it then because I was right there, and I lost it then because the referee was going over like, he said, "Oh, it's fine, mate. As long as you need, it's fine."
I know.
I'm like, "What do you mean?"
I
like,
think it's Wilson kicking off, saying, "How he's tying his lace, he's
absolutely
taking the
right.
piss." Yeah.
It was not on. Like, yeah.
Then
The ref was dreadful. Like, wasn't it?
It took a while for the referee to then react to when Murphy's shoulder pops.
Yeah.
And yes, we know you shouldn't be really stopping play unless there's a head injury, but you can tell if you had done your homework, like we're saying about referees, that his shoulder was ready to pop at any point.
I was amazed he played. Like,
It's a bad decision from us.
I saw that
He put a post on Instagram, didn't he? Saying he felt as if it was worth the risk
Aye.
to play.
I did. I saw his name on the bench and I thought it must be one of the Irish centre halves that we're getting recently. Like, honestly, I thought it can't be Jacob Murphy. Like, it's only been 10 days after Dortmund.
Yeah.
11 days after Dortmund, and it was like his arm was like he's not good. I remember when Stephen Taylor did his years and years ago, and he was out for months.
So Mark actually picked this up because at half time, you saw Livermore warming up by himself away from the rest of the lads. He was training by himself with one of the coaches. Then when Murphy was running, he wasn't really running in full flight. He wasn't moving that arm very well, and you could tell he was protecting it. Then obviously when he comes on, he does that burst to try and close the defender down. He does. Then you can see you just going like you said, but his arm's just stuck in that position, like
horrible.
Scarecrow,
A little
just
bit like
stuck
that.
there.
Like he hasn't, like, his sleeves rolled up a bit.
Yeah,
He can't quite get his elbow.
he's wandering around, like just looking to see where he can go with his shoulder just hanging.
Yeah.
Then obviously the referee
It's awful.
realizes,
He's like
stops
pointing at his
play.
knee when he's coming off. He's like looking at
You know straight away. But then when he gets to the side, it's dropped. So I'm not
I
sure
didn't pick
what
one
they've
up.
done if they've tried and popped it there to get it back in straight
I thought
away.
they tried because
it
I was in
drops.
line with that. I think they tried to put it back in. Like,
Yeah, I didn't hear a scream mind, and if I'd have,
yeah.
I honestly thought
Like Lethal Weapon when he, when Mel Gibson like smashes it against the
yeah,
wall.
exactly that screams.
I honestly thought at the time, I wonder if they've known it would happen. And they've just brought him on to kill some time, run the clock down a bit.
Just pop his shoulder on purpose.
Jacob, I've had an idea. You're not going to like this.
Are you interested?
He's the kind of bloke Murphy would be.
would do it.
Bang up for that. Like,
Yeah, he would do it.
We'll double our wage this week if.
I was stunned to see him on the bench, like, to be honest, and then to come on. It is. Well, listen, how said that he had multiple conversations with him during the week and stuff, and felt that he was ready, but. Yeah, for me, it's a
mistake, isn't it?
It's a massive mistake in my opinion because we're already short on the ground, and you've kind of maybe rushed him back, and it's not good. It's not
Big
good.
games
It's
coming
only
up.
way
Like,
you can be honest, right?
Well, I think
criticising,
anyway,
but-
like it's surgery which was going to be needed now, and obviously
3 months.
clarified now that
3
he's going
months,
to be
yes.
out. Is that how long?
3 months.
it
I
is?
said yesterday
Jesus.
on the press conference after when Arteta had his rant,
Yeah.
and then they interviewed how afterwards it was like the end of that. He said
So
about 3
we've
months.
got Murphy, that's going to be out for a few months.
Yep.
Dan Burn looks like that'll be a few months.
couple
as well,
months
so,
apparently.
didn't
Like,
it? So-
Anderson was 8 weeks, I think it said, a week or two ago. Harvey Barnes, New Year.
Yeah,
Botman's indefinite.
it's adding up in it.
Yeah.
The Botman ones because they don't know.
Yeah,
Like I said, we
probably
don't know what it is. I mean, all these names that we're mentioning, it's very, very difficult to lose all them players and then still continue to produce what we're seeing, right?
How they're going to address the January window? Because a lot of those names are going to be, not all of them, hopefully. I mean, you say Botman would hopefully be back sooner. Isaac's got to come back as well before too long, but
training again, I think Isaac, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, I think there's photos of him today.
It's only
yesterday, sorry.
8 weeks till the January window opens, maybe.
It's really it's a difficult one because, of course, in isolation, you're looking, oh, well, he's out and Botman's out and this person's out and that person's out. We need to buy this and this. But you can't, because all of them are going to come back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So in my honest opinion, right, you can't really move away from whatever plan you had before these injuries, in my opinion.
Apart from maybe a couple of emergency loans.
I would say Tonali's the only one that is now all of a sudden maybe had to go top of the list, that you have to replace him. Because if he hadn't happened what's happened, I don't actually think they would ever be looking at that position. I really don't. But I think just given the circumstances they find themselves in, I almost feel that may jump their front of the queue. But for me, they've got to get another striker. They have to. But anyway, we're moving away from the game here. But you know what I mean? It's very difficult when you get that many injuries, there's that many games. It's very, very tough.
I wonder how many new sponsorships we'll have announced between now and the end of the year.
Well, that Saudi airline one was massively... I got the shock of my life. I think it was half time at the end of the game, where that, I don't know if you could hear, but they had like the sound of the airplane, like is the advert. It was half time. It was half time. I absolutely shit myself. I was walking. I was definitely half time because I was walking to go to the toilet, like going along the seats, and it like flashed up and the plane went across the screen, and it was as if a plane had literally come in the ground. I was like, bloody hell! But but the goal, I think, to go back to that, because that's where we were, I think. Got to credit Willock massively, haven't you? Willock to chase over, to keep the ball in.
Hugely.
And obviously, now I have to come to it now. Joelinton in that game there was
phenomenal.
Honestly, God, I actually went to bed thinking about him on Saturday night.
I do most nights.
I was just lying there thinking, I was thinking of all of the times in that game where he put himself about every, he's so aggressive, he covered every blade of grass. Sometimes he was winning his own headers on. He was clearing a ball and then winning his own clearance.
To that side of the pitch.
It was if I think I put it on. It was as if he was three men. I mean, it was a colossal performance, and it was that type of night where you really did. Well, everyone had to be like that, but he was like just everywhere. There's a tackle he did on Rice right at the end, which was right in front of me, and whoever it was that passed the ball to Rice it was a little bit short, and Joelinton just
all over it,
steaming in, and Rice was angry, but not with Joelinton with the pass.
Yeah.
But honestly, Joelinton was and in the goal, sorry, that's why I thought of it. His burst and run, he takes it in his chest, and tries to carry the ball, which then eventually goes to Murphy. I honestly thought Joelinton, that was one of his best ever performances, and he's had millions for.
Yeah, they're mounting up, aren't they?
Oh my God.
Certainly his best, I think, since he came back. I thought he was excellent last week 100%. In the Cup. I think he struggled a bit. We look at the Dortmund game. No, was it Dortmund or PS? I forget which game it was. He first came back and he just didn't. He looked a bit off the pace.
It was just after his injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looks as if he just wasn't fit. But he was phenomenal on Saturday. He absolutely just everywhere.
The other things that he does so well and all, and I counted a good few times when I was watching. We've got a throw in, right? And there's not many options you've really got. He will take that ball under any amount of pressure. There's sometimes he had three people, man. And he positions his body in such a way, and he'll always find a pass. You know what I mean? To try and start a move. I cannot speak any higher how good he was on Saturday.
We'll talk about Joelinton, and do you know what it is? It's good to see Willock back in that team and working alongside Joelinton as well, because once again we'll see it again where they're just chopping and changing, and even more so when Gordon's having to fill in as a striker as well. Because you've got four players that are just switching left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And, well, probably five. You'd look at Almiron, Murphy, Gordon, Joelinton, and Willock, and even Longstaff. You could stick Longstaff in there as well.
Yeah.
It's absolute carnage up top and find those pockets of space at the moment. It must be a nightmare for a defender to figure out who they're marking.
Yeah.
Well, I think when Willock's on, I think Joelinton doesn't have to do as much running with the ball. I feel like I think when Willock's not in, Joelinton is sometimes that person who still. I'm not saying he can't even when Willock's on, but Willock's normally the one that drives with the ball. Whereas I find Joelinton, for literally all game, is just putting out fires all over the pitch. Either that be it starting to move early by breaking the play up, or coming back and covering. oh God, he's just unbelievable.
Like,
Wins everything in the air, like just
like you said, taking the ball under pressure and moving the ball up the pitch. Like,
really so impressive. I think that's really underrating his game, being able to take the ball under pressure and hold it off and then start something off. Even just go sideways, just keeping the ball, just phenomenal.
And that's from the first minute till what was it 100 minutes played at the weekend?
And he was the one that, as I say, there was the last moment of the game. He's the one challenging Rice, and he actually deflected it off Rice for our throw.
Yeah, he celebrated.
He celebrate? He was honest to God, so brave as well. Like, and some of the challenges he makes and putting his head in, it's just unbelievable. Honestly.
I think we're going to have to talk about the statement as well, which was actually before the statement. I think we're going to have to talk about Arteta's comments first of all, because that came before the statement which Arsenal released there. Bestie, he's not happy, is he?
He never is. Now it is. He's it's disgraceful and embarrassment. His actions are the disgraceful and the embarrassing ones. This is a bloke who he complains like mad every time we play them. At Emirates last season, at St James, and Arsenal are horrible. Arsenal aren't they're not these kind of bastions of moral kind of superiority. Or they're a nasty side. When you look at them going down holding their faces and they're going for nasty challenges, and Havertz having a go long stuff. Havertz has got previous against us. Remember, he cleaned Dan Burns' clock at Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, season before maybe. So that they're not. And Arteta, it's little things. He spends the whole game stood outside his technical area and all that. No one ever seems to mention it. He's like, "Look, just settle yourself down." He's a dick. Basically, he's a twat. And I think that the statement that Arsenal have put out, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't want to put that statement out, but we've got to go along what he says now, haven't we?
Do you think?
Yeah. It's like with that fish thing that you did the other week. We're like, oh God, Chris says we've got to do that now.
Yeah, that actually, I should have made a statement then as well. I'm not doing it.
Do you think it's more of a deflection thing? That's what it is. Because
I've seen that said.
Let's be honest, they were bad.
Mourinho, I've seen the comparison made that Mourinho used to do the same thing with Chelsea, would blame anybody but Chelsea for the show. Arsenal weren't great. I mean, I say they weren't great. If they'd have won that 1-0, I don't think you could have said it was an unfair result. The same as I think us winning 1-0 wasn't an unfair result. It was a close game, and it was the marginal stuff that obviously in the extremes with regard to the goal that were kind of the difference.
But it's ridiculous, so Bessie, because when you think about, you can kind of understand with it being a post-match interview, emotions are high with Arteta. Then he just comes out and says whatever he wants to say. Okay,
yeah.
But then you've got to go and type that statement. It's got to get signed off, and they're still going to release it. It seems mental.
It's berserk, and it's just following on from Liverpool's lead with a thing against Tottenham. A bit warm out there,
I'm absolutely red hot now. I think it's the light. I don't know.
That Liverpool thing against Tottenham the other week, the goal where they got the VAR wrong.
Yeah.
When they kind of misunderstood, which it was terrible. Like, in fairness.
Terrible decision, yeah.
And Liverpool kind of had their statement. Now I can see it happening now whenever a team has a decision made against them. We'll probably do it at some point now because the floodgates are open. That's 2 in a month.
See, I don't think we will, because
I wouldn't be.
I don't think we will.
It's weird.
I'd be embarrassed if we did.
Yeah, I would be.
It's not going to change a single thing.
Nah. Anyhow, I certainly so far hasn't done anything like that, and we've had some awful decisions against with
Crystal Palace one to look at.
Exactly that one. Yeah, there's been more as well. Stuff at
I think
that's pretty howling.
There's probably. It's probably only Wolves, honest. Wolves like them have been unlucky. Like Wolves, I mean, God, if there's anyone got a statement ready, that should probably be Wolves. Like.
Penalty,
but
the penalty that
was horrendous.
Identical, more or less to the share one last week.
But having said that, I think Carragher said this right, and I part of us doesn't. I don't really have a problem when a manager's being passionate, right? Like in the moment, he's obviously fuming, right, and he went way over the top. Don't get us wrong, he went way over the top, right? And I think Arsenal didn't play well, but I think we have to give ourselves some credit. I still think we are one of the hardest teams to come at, like at our place, right?
100%.
Like, there's not many places in the Premier, probably maybe other than City, right? I don't think there is anywhere as hard as us, right? So they didn't play very well and all the rest of it, but like I do think it got out of hand, and I think the reason why I do think that is Arteta went into the multiple interviews and said almost the same lines.
Yeah, it was like copy and paste, wasn't it?
That's where I begin to think, I'm not so sure now, because I think when he's very first interviewed, right, no, he might go 10 out, and it's an absolute disgrace, and I'm sick, and all the rest of it, right? I'm sick. But to then have a bit of a break and then get interviewed by the radio, and it's the same lines, and then have another break and then get interviewed by the national, and it's the same lines. then I'm like, well, because personally, if it's heat of the moment, you would expect him to maybe calm down a bit. Do you know what I mean? And maybe credit his players. He's well entitled to do that.
Yeah, good point.
Does that make sense? I hope it
yeah,
does.
once he said his piece, he might start to think, actually,
It was literally line for line again and again and again. In the statements, I mean, well, it's embarrassing. Like, it's absolutely embarrassing because at the end of the day, right, as we've discussed here in depth, and now it's being discussed, you're releasing a statement based on is Joelinton's a foul or not? Because that's the factual evidence we've got here.
Yeah.
And that's still 50-50. So you've actually written a statement now because of a potential foul. That could have went either way. My mind's blown.
It's amazing, isn't
My
it?
mind is blown. Like,
Well,
That they've just doubled down on it.
when they asked him, someone asked him which of the three
Was Luke Edwards.
Was it Luke? Was it asked
Yeah.
that? Was it?
I was, I think.
Which
Luke
one was?
Edwards
Which
kept
is
on
that you're
going
happy
at
with? He goes, I can't believe you're asking us that. Like, well, so you don't answer it then.
Yeah.
So,
Aye.
yeah. Like,
I don't think he knew. Honestly,
He
I
turned around and
don't-
goes, that is a question. I was like, well, when, like,
Yeah. So
that's
which
what
one
we're
are you
saying to
annoyed
you,
at?
which one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you just can't highlight it,
Yeah.
which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's just mental. It really is mental. Like,
Before we go any further, if anybody does have any questions, we do have a couple, but any more, send them our way. And like I said, we will go through them for the next 15 minutes there. But boys, apparently, there's been another statement.
Really?
There's been another statement. Got it right here. Bestie's face. We've got another statement.
Has there been?
Yeah. Do you want to know what this official Arsenal statement is?
I do.
So this one is, it says, Arsenal Football Club wholeheartedly supports Arteta's post-match comments that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
It's quite printer that you've been using.
Well, I probably agree with that one.
That was just handed to us. Off air.
It's not like.
It's not. So I agree with that one. That was going in that as well, Bestie.
Miles away, I've missed as well as it goes. Like,
But yeah, statements, I think it's something which need to get in the bin. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
for stuff like it is complaining about like refereeing and do you know do that internally, do it privately. If you're gonna say that, say it to the PGMOL, say it to the Premier League. There's no need. It just stirs up more trouble.
What I find mad is I can't reference the game, right? I can't, right? But I remember watching a game, right, where something happened in their favour, I believe. And Arteta got interviewed and he said something like, I don't know, there was rumours that this guy wasn't going to referee again almost, or wasn't going to referee at this level. And Arteta was like, no, we need to start, show more respect. Let's not go as harsh as that as fans and as managers. And almost rightfully, I think, defended that it's a hard job and don't get on the backs. And then to that, I mean, that was...
It was Liverpool, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Was it?
against Liverpool. It was Arteta.
Right. It was Arteta, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
It's because when it's in your favour, then yes, you don't mind it. But when the shoe's on the other foot, but it's not even like. Do you know what it is? We're talking about. It's not even that bad of a decision.
It's not. He could argue it's not an incorrect decision at all.
Yeah. And that's what is more mind blowing about the whole carry on. It's as if like in that moment they had 3 players sent off and like for nothing, and like it's something really, really bad. And I understand why the fans would be upset, right? Because they've lost a game. It's their first loss of the Premier League season. I understand it's a big moment, but there's far too much sort of backlash or energy used on something so little in isolation when you look back at it in moments. And the release of statement it blows my mind. Like honestly, it blows my mind how you can release a statement.
Like I said earlier, I hope we never get to the point where we release a statement. Like I hope we've got somebody with their head screwed on at the club that just goes, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Well, listen, and I'm not just saying
petty, isn't it?
It is, and I'm not just saying it because it's our club, right? But how like there's probably not a more classy manager in the league, right, in terms of his approach. I remember that one against Palace that would drop points at, and Willa got pushed into the goalkeeper. And how was this? He said he hadn't seen it, or sometimes you get them. It's difficult. Like, he never ever comes out and will ever criticise. He might say I'm disappointed, but he even mentioned in his post match about he thought there was too many yellow cards. We all know he's meaning us because we got booked every 2 minutes, and they only had one booking.
Yeah.
One booking.
One booking, one game, which should have been a red. Really.
You know what I mean? Probably should have been a red. So like but yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know.
It's I think it comes from a place like from entitlement. I think it's Liverpool and Arsenal who are both. Last season they did the same thing against us. Newcastle or this or that dark art or whatever it is. I said. I think it honestly comes from we expecting that it's going to go in their favour because it often does, and they kind of lose.
I definitely think my dad actually sent me texted straight away. I didn't get it after the game, obviously the signal, but he said it's typical of
you don't only get it until you get a gate.
I know, literally. I was literally sitting next to him and he would come through.
Other weekend, I know we'd have a joke about signal around St James's Park, But on Saturday, I was 10 times worse than what it normally is.
Yeah.
As soon as I got off the metal room, my phone just went, nah, might as well just put me away.
Yeah. Normally, I walk back to Jesmond. If I'm not having a beer in the town, I walk to Jesmond to get metro from there because it's the first one outside the city centre, so you get to see. And even then, time I get to Jesmond, normally like this now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's when I get to Heworth. I'll quickly go down there and get with the car by that point. Like, so.
It does tend to be, though, doesn't it? That I'm going way back here. The Man United days with Fergie that way. When it didn't go their way, absolute hell on.
Yeah.
And Liverpool's exactly like that. You know, we know obviously clearly Arsenal's like that. Now, what I will say, the dark arts scenario from about a year ago, we battered them. I remember stopping them from the top four, and Arteta used that as fuel before, and now we've got this game. Oh, when we go down there, man, it could be. It's going to be really fruitful.
Rivalry that we've got with Arsenal came out of nowhere.
It started to happen, hasn't it, recently? Because I remember early.
Do you think Arteta's fueled most of that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I'm telling you now, I can only imagine the build-up. He'll have speakers saying, "You're not fit to referee, man, in the training." That I'm telling you, it could be the away game's going to be fruitful, like tasteful, like very, very tasty. Wouldn't mind going to that one actually.
I just. When do you think it started? Do you think it was that last game of the season when we battered them?
It feels like it kind of was because that's what Arteta apparently used as his team talk for last season and so.
Yeah.
But then I think that was a pretty fair game, wasn't it? There was no.
Yeah,
I think we hammered them and then would have finished fourth if they'd have won.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. And I'm not. To be fair, let me need to be clear here. I don't think he used that as negatively towards us. I just think he used it as fuel of like, remember last time they took it away from you. Do you know what I mean by that? I don't think negatively in that sense, but then I really think it was that one away from home that were dual 0-0, and he believed we were wasting time lying down. Their fans were furious. And then this game, I mean, has there been a bigger blowout than what we've seen? Well, Arteta's negative and very argumentative most of the time.
It's still going on now, Dicker.
2
days later,
exactly. And I
think
think
there's been a great comment by Dan that says that it seems like it's all on Arteta, and anyhow just doesn't really care.
Yeah,
Did you watch his post presser? The one, so he got asked him, had you an opportunity? It was Craig Hope, I'm sure. Mr. Positive said, don't even go there. He asked him, have you spoken to Arteta yet? And he went, well, no, I've been speaking to you, right? And then he went, will you? And he went, no. And the way he said no was like, no chance.
I'm not going hunting for him.
I'm not even wasting my energy on him, which I thought was really good. It was a good answer back.
But yeah, it's just weird. But do you think, Bestie, it's because the cat's amongst the pigeons now with Newcastle and how well we're doing and the big six just do not like this?
I don't think it's necessarily because it's little Newcastle. I think it's...
Oh, is it because we're bribing referees?
Oh, well, it must be that. I think, it's the dirty old money. I think it's as much to do with, not that it's Newcastle, I think, had it been, I'll say Sunderland. If it had been Sunderland, and it's no, that's a bad example because the North East thing that you could argue. Let's say Portsmouth. If it had been Portsmouth and they'd had an influx of money, they had a good coach, and they were finishing like third, fourth, getting the League Cup finals and stuff, I think the established top six would have been the same. I don't think it's because it's us. I think it's because it's somebody else. It's another Champions League slot that's going to be harder to get into. Another UEFA Cup one if you fall out with that top 4, 5, whatever it's going to be in the season.
You can even look at the rest of the cups, Best. We took Man City and Man United.
Aye.
Out of the League Cup as well.
But it's only us up for the treble, isn't it, at the minute? It turns out we're the only ones left.
I think the ownership model obviously doesn't help either, of course.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately a stick we'll get hit with a lot. You know what I mean?
That has, I mean, when the takeover happened, that's true, as I say as well. Yeah, there was a lot of kickback against that. I think
they wouldn't have liked it even if it was we hadn't spent any money at all and we finished fourth. Like no, they would not have liked it because it's that we're stealing food off their plate.
Well, the team that finished, now which game was that? I was going to use as an example. I think it was the team that finished against Dortmund. There was only Gordon and Pope that were there that weren't there when we stayed up 2 years ago. And I kept on saying, it's the same team as last year. It's actually the same team as 2 years ago, more or less. Just with because the injuries and whatnot.
Matt Ritchie's still running around.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie. He's doing
we're back the same team as Bruce on Tuesday because we're dropping like flies.
Well, just
yeah, and we'll be right back on Tuesday.
Liam knows we're still on for the quad, Bestie.
Yeah,
never mind the treble.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant quadruple. Sorry. But I do. I think that it's just someone else upsetting us. And it increases the pressure on the likes of Arteta, on Jurgen Klopp, because he's been like an arse last couple of years. Tottenham getting good again, that's added more pressure again, especially to Arsenal, because obviously the rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's just because it's us. Although I think the takeover, the manner in which it went through, when they confirmed the separation of state and PIF on the same day as the BLQ
Mad,
thing
that,
got
innit?
sorted out. That was
Yeah,
incredible.
mad.
Coincidence.
But-
that we-
Should release a statement.
all of that could have happened, right? And if they were only worth a tenner, no one would have given money.
Aye.
It
Yeah.
was the money that's all it was. It was money. That's what
Yeah.
made everyone angry. If it was line in the sand that this has been done, but he's only going to put the same amount of money in as Ashley would, nobody would even mention. They didn't care.
Well, when
they wouldn't even
Maxi-
care where the money's coming from.
when Maxi went to Saudi, and they were saying, all the fans and other teams are going, how much money they're paying? Is it fair? Is it the right amount? No one gave a monkey's when it was Watford and Udinese.
Yeah.
The same thing was happening. The same thing was more blatant, to be honest with you.
Right in your face, yeah.
But it was because Watford they were never, and no disrespect to Watford, I don't mind them. They were never really seen as being a team that were going to challenge for those kind of spots. It was
It's
like,
a nice little segue that as well, Bestie, because rumours are that we may be in for your mate on a free loan.
I'll be able to move with that. Like a free loan. So I'm
No
not trying to
charge.
be a dickhead.
No charge, apparently.
Well, that way we actually be paying themselves, wouldn't it, effectively?
Well, this is way controversial,
Yeah.
Bestie.
But I
So Neves, a rumour to be coming to Tyneside.
can I not get Neymar?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
get them all.
Get Maxi back.
Is his sister over there as well, is she? But I don't think I've said before, but I do admire Ruben Neves a
Do
lot.
you
as a
really?
footballer, like, yeah.
Nah, I do as well, man.
But I think, can you imagine him behind
You.
Often do. But sitting in front of the defence, like playing the ball out at the top of the Gordon or even if they can make it a chase onto, he's had to get onto out through the channel. He would be perfect for us, I think. And he's not really a front foot, like when you look at how we attack up the pitch and defend up the pitch, beg pardon. But then I don't think you'd need to be.
Yeah, no, I that was the only thing I was going to say about him.
Yeah.
Is he's not a high energy box to box, and I'm not saying he needs to be either. By the way, I'm just saying that and also that league he's in. I'm not. Would it take him a while to get up to speed immediately?
That's a good
Because it's
point.
not
I think
exactly the
possibly,
highest of levels, obviously. So, but listen, like the couple of things. I remember Lampard moving from New York club to Man City.
Man City.
And them were like part owned and all this,
Was it
right?
Sydney as well?
New York City.
And-
New York.
There's three. There's one in Australia
Oh,
as
Melbourne.
well, isn't there? Is it Melbourne?
Melbourne, yeah.
Because all wear the same blue, don't they?
Yeah.
Aye, whatever. And there was no who was there. I don't believe that. I can't remember anything. But now all of a sudden, when we're going to get someone,
How long before,
interest,
if
you
this
can't do
happens, or the rumours start obviously spiraling, how long before there's a joint statement from the rest of the Premier League clubs?
Oh, God.
Oh, it's
They
coming.
like doing that, don't they?
It's coming. I was going to just be like statement, just a
Yeah,
feed of
'cause let's
statements.
remember when the takeover went through, they weren't happy that obviously they brought in that rule and saying that you've got to have the fair market value and
For sponsorships,
for
wasn't it?
sponsors,
Yeah.
which lasted for X amount of months. I think it was straight after Newcastle were taken over, so we couldn't then invest to get money and bring people in the January. And then that obviously got overruled where you now got to prove that it's fair market value and all this shite. So that was brought in because of Newcastle and where we were heading or wanted to head at that moment in time. They're not going to be happy if this happens. I'm telling you now. There's going to be more. If there's any toys left in that pram, there's more getting chucked out.
Well, the same faces, the same clubs, the same bits of paper they'll be getting written on because they're not going to be happy, are they? But I would listen. We need someone, right? And I do think a loan's the right option. Like I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Whoever it may be, whoever it is from wherever. Sorry. I think a loan's the right option because you've got Tonali coming back, so you can't sign someone that is the quality of that person with him knowing, when he comes back. Then again, you could also sell him. But don't worry, we're going to have another 5 injuries next year, so you'll be still in. There's always injuries, but it's very hard to sell that to someone when you
I
know
think that's
actually.
probably why it's the loan option, isn't it?
100%, yeah. Take a look, get him on loan. Thanks for the 10 months or whatever we're going to have you for, however long it's going to be. Sorry, and then obviously tonight.
The only other one is which we mentioned a couple of weeks ago because that was rumoured was Phillips from Man City.
Calvin Phillips, yeah.
But then you're in that predicament if you do look at buying him. Well, what Decker's just said there, that you can't really sell this to him because of how well the rest of the lads are doing at the moment.
They've come out. Well, Pep said Pep said the day basically that he's kind of gone.
Yeah, he needs game time.
Yeah.
Now, what the thing you would be able to say to Calvin Phillips is, I can guarantee you'll play more than you did at Man City.
Yeah.
So that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And would he be able to play for a team in the top 5 or 6 because that's what we are, really. Now
He's a Leeds lad, isn't
he is. I would love
Stay
him.
north as well.
I would.
That's obviously we saw from Trips as well.
Yeah. Big thing.
I would love it, mate. Personally, I think it would be a great signing. I really do.
I like Calvin.
Really do.
Again, I suppose similar to the Neves thing. I've not seen enough of him over the past 2 years. Is it after you?
I don't think anybody else, mate.
Like to
I think that's the issue.
St James's in the cup, and I think it was great that day. But people, Trippier was terrible at Wolves. Doesn't make him a bad player. You know what I mean? It's players have bad games every now and then. So
I will honestly say this, and this is where you've either got to suck it up and just accept it might be a year down the line. But I think you could get very like Gordon in regards to you sign him in January, and he has flashes of real greatness, but doesn't really do anything because Gordon didn't, right? But we all said give him a full preseason, give him the time on the how. I actually honestly think we'll be seeing the same statements if Phillips come. But then you'll see the benefit the year after. Now, the problem is, though, we kind of want someone to come in January and hit the ground running.
Speed like that.
That's what I mean. So it's
32 as well, isn't he?
Is he?
Aye.
Oh, we didn't want him. No.
He's not a young.
I
Like
didn't
with
think
Gordon,
he
you'd
was
say
that
like
old, really,
I think Phillips is he blossomed as it were at Leeds, and he's like 27, 28 maybe. Are you googling it, Chris? Are you?
Yes, I am.
I'm saying 31.
Is he? Jesus.
I'm going to say he's in his 30s. Like,
Well, no matter how old he is, I still think if he come in January, I think we'll be seeing the same things as Gordon.
27.
27.
really? Is that all he is? I'm sorry, I'm
Definitely
totally wrong. Yeah.
Honestly,
Sorry, Calvin.
Sorry, Calvin, mate. Imagine if this was that fat one said I'm 31. I'm not going there.
he's a shit keeper now.
He's rubbish, him.
But if he's available at the position we need, I honestly think Howard would get it. He would be a great signing. I just don't think he'd be able to come in January and go, all the best, mate, you're starting and you're in. We might not need him to do that either. We might not necessarily need him to do that, but I just think if he's available, it makes perfect sense. Like, I think personally.
I would agree with that. Like, I do like Calvin Phillips, yeah.
I might be completely wrong here, but has Phillips not had quite a few issues with injuries as well?
Well, when you get to his age, it's going to happen.
Because we don't need a player like that. We've already got enough.
No, but listen, I don't know him. I don't know his injury record. I don't. But what I would say is, I think it must be difficult to perhaps not be playing at all. Let's be fair, right? And then come in and try and play, and he might pick up an injury. Do you know? He may
Paul
well.
Dummett.
Well, I Dummett.
Hasn't put a foot wrong.
I just think that if you have the right training regime and stuff. I mean, Wilson, my God, touch everything I have here. Has done recently. He's been great with injury, right? And I think it's because the managing him is
Very well,
right?
Yeah.
And I think if they did that with Phillips, and Phillips gets more game time, he gets fitter, he gets stronger, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. How much it costs you, mine, is another thing. Because I think it would cost you a canny bit, but
That's the thing as well. We've already got Lewis Hall to pay for next season because he's on a loan with a fee in the summer, isn't he? So we've already used up some of next year's budget. Yeah. And, you know, we've got to cut our cloth a little bit.
That's a good point. Like, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it will be the same regardless. I mean, Tonali's going to come back just after the start of next season. You've got Willock, Joelinton, Longstaff, who are more than good enough to keep playing or certainly be in the first team squad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Up until the drop off as they get older.
I do have a question for you here on this one, and it's not this position at all. It's just popped in my head. Obviously, Lascelles, I believe, is coming close to the end, isn't he, of his contract?
What's up?
Not the end.
I've not heard that.
Not the end.
Sorry, Jamal.
I mean, like, I think he's got 1 year left after this one. I could be wrong. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Football's a funny game. You could say we're just fickle, but like, you wouldn't have maybe expected him to either still be around now or certainly going into next year. You may be thinking, oh, well, we'll move on from Lascelles. Thanks for your time. Now, based on what he's done over the last 6-7 games, say, you give him another year's deal, right?
Yep.
On top.
And
he's been unbelievable.
In the summer, I was saying he'd be the next. We'll get centre half in to cover Share and Botman, or to replace maybe Share, wouldn't it? He's been phenomenal. I'm not saying, but Lascelles, he's been in 2 months now, is it nearly, since Botman went out? 6 weeks?
Jules says, how old is Lascelles?
31, isn't he?
47 by your calculator over there.
But he's been like unbelievable since he came back.
He was a rock on
the amount of times I said, well done, Skipper. In the weekend, he's class.
What did you do?
Skipper. Oh, Skipper.
Is that actually what you do?
Oh,
Do you?
Smitty, that's next was all
right.
Smitty, who's on the train with Taylor on the way to Dortmund at the minute.
All right.
Not with Taylor, just happens to be on the same
On the
train.
same train.
Probably trying to like
Dodge him.
him and Kobe. Oh, Skipper. Aye.
But on Saturday, he was now. Obviously, the thing is, he seems to be even more limited with the ball. Like literally the second he gets it, he just pass it right, left, or right. But
That's all I want him to do.
No, I know.
John Terry was never a great.
No, I
I'm
agree.
not for a moment saying Lascelles is as good as John Terry's defender.
Better.
But you don't necessarily need to be Franz Beckenbauer.
No, absolutely not. But I think definitely like his positioning is a lot better without shadow of a doubt. I noticed that loads of times on Saturday. The way he was actually organising the line best part of the time, if I'm honest. But the one thing that you always get, the amount of corners Arsenal had, they seem to have, it felt like 10 in a row almost. It's just, I think he won, honestly, nearly every one of them. Like, every time the ball come in, he was the one that got it. He did some really good clearances. His position is amazing now, I think. You know, when someone's running down the wing, say, for example, in a dangerous position, the way he comes across, he's not even really thinking where he's put, he just clears it away out in the touch. And he's done that a few times against Wolves. He did it a few times on Saturday, just extinguishing that area, you know, in that zone, if you like. And he did a really good challenge on someone, I don't know who it was running through on goal, almost running through on goal.
It's his trademark move at the moment.
And he like came out round and tackled him. You've got to make that right now because he could be off.
His timing and tackles brilliantly.
Honestly, just amazing. Like, and to come in, I think, was it the first game? The PSG game was his first one. Maybe his second then.
Second or third, I think. Yeah,
because even I had a worry against Mbappe.
It was not Man City in the cup, the first one.
Oh, I think it might have been.
Was that before PSG? Was it?
No, was that before? No, it wasn't. Was it?
There's been so many games I can't even remember anymore.
He definitely played against PSG, didn't he?
He'd been here.
And I remember I was a bit worried about that one. And to be fair, he's never put a foot wrong since he's come back in. And massive credit to him.
Yeah.
Right, Lascelles. First game this season was Man City in the Cup, then Burnley, then PSG, then West Ham in all the games since. So yeah, Man City in the Cup.
Which he was class.
Did he play? Now, was Botman injured for that one? Or was it? Botman was on the bench, so he must have been injured then, yeah. And he was class.
He was
excellent. I'll put that
so you played Man City, then PSG, back to back. What a way to introduce yourself into like trying to fill Botman's role, right? Because that was the worry. We've lost Botman, oh my word. And then we went on to thumb Palace and all these games. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's done absolutely amazing.
I forget about Palace because that was like we'll give him a real hiding, and it's just because of all the games we've played and what we've done this season. That was just another. We've beaten Arsenal at home, which we didn't do last season. We beat Man City in the Cup, Man United away, which I haven't even 3-0 Old Trafford. We haven't even talked about it yet, really.
I was watching something on YouTube there, and a lot of people were saying this was the biggest win of the season.
This one, Arsenal.
Yeah. Does it feel like that to you?
In the league, maybe, yeah.
It probably isn't.
PSG's one of the biggest wins in the club's history for me. It was a phenomenal, unbelievable thing, that.
Yeah.
It was great being there.
What do you imagine past it?
I think with this being their first loss as well helps.
Yeah, it's nice.
Does that make sense? It's nice to take that scalp, if you like.
And the reaction afterwards, I love the reaction afterwards. Honestly, it's gone. Like, they've literally lost it.
The heads are away and they're all over the shop.
Lost it.
It might be the Keegan, I love it if we beat them moment, like for that, you know, where it's just, I don't know, they can come back and obviously be different, but, you know.
They're a good side, Arsenal. I mean, they'll finish. They'll be in the top 3 coming in this season. It'll be Man City.
Full of whingy arseholes, like, but they're a decent side.
So Liverpool, not where they are. They were thereabouts as well.
True. Anything else that you want to add before we'll call it?
Just how good they were at Old Trafford last week.
God knows how long this as well.
Like, Willock's, I want to talk about like Joelinton's tackle for Willock's goal. We've got Livermento. There's all the goals. Livermento's run, the way Hall shapes his body to put that one in the bottom corner. But Joe Willock's goal, I've seen it a few times now, and I'm still surprised by how well he hits it with the side of his foot. It's a really, really good finish.
Yeah. Absolutely rockets it, didn't he?
Like, phenomenal tackle by Joelinton in the middle, and Willock. It was like trademark Joe Willock, just like, I'm going to run at you here. Yep. I'm going to run at you. I'm going to cause you bother.
It was well, it's one of the.
It was a great performance. It really was.
Cracking, and to lose Matt Target after about 90 seconds.
Who was playing in a defensive midfield role?
Apparently, but then like we lost him now. See Dan Burns and that. But that's a strength and depth thing again. We've got Trippier and go left back in theory.
Daryl's wet dream.
He always loves that.
He loves it, doesn't he?
I think he loves that more than trains.
I don't know how good Lewis Hall is, and I was impressed with him against Man U last week. I still don't know. I've not seen enough of him, but he's an option at left back as well. I dare say he played a few games for Chelsea last year in the league, so he could do a job. I dare say.
I think other than how like there's not many managers I honestly don't think could play them 5 fullbacks and get a 3-0 result like that. Like honestly, I just think testament to him and the players, of course. Them are the ones across the line and got to do the job. Like, but it's just the way that he sets the team up and the sort of that culture that he has. I said this a couple of weeks ago that if a player comes off the field for injury or anything, the player that replaces him just knows their job, knows exactly what's expected and what they've got to do. And I think that's just like testament to how.
Longstaff said that after a recent game. I think it might be Man U where he says that like the gaffer, he makes them look better than they are almost. Because because he's that well drilled and that well kind of instructed on what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That they just know, like Eddie says, nearly.
How the court.
But like, and again, you compare it to Jericho Williams not knowing which team he was playing for when he first signed.
And I think it goes hand in
against
hand.
Arsenal as well.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with the comments that Fabian Schär's done as well, because he was part of the press conference today.
Oh, right.
He's never been involved in the team that's so close together.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just testament to, once again, Eddie Howe and Tyndall. And do you know what it is? We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes. We haven't even mentioned Jason Tyndall being absolutely class as always on the touchline, causing scenes left, right, and centre. And there was something else which I completely forgot about as well, which I've still forgot about. I had it 2 seconds ago and I completely forgot it. Something else which happened in the non-handshake as well between Havertz and Lascelles as well.
Yeah, that was poor.
Once again, a bit spiteful from Arsenal. Just shake his hand, man.
Children.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jorginho is like that, though.
Yeah.
It's poor form, isn't it? You know, it's poor form.
Yeah.
I want to,
And that's what I mean by extra space. When we go down there, it's going to be a real battle.
Oh, Sky Sports
Honestly.
are going to promote that like it's WrestleMania, man. It's going to be ridiculous.
It'll be, yeah.
how good Schär was again as well, because Schär's just
Class.
Unreal. I forget who it was a year or two ago now, where we just stopped talking about how good he was because he was always real. Joelinton it was, because he's just really good. We got Fabian Schär's doing that now. For a bloke that was signed, when did we get him? 6 seasons ago, and he's just consistently had the dip when we decided not to have a head coach for a couple of years.
Bye, Salah.
And then just the way he's been playing every week, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's passing. He's touch. He's tackling. He's like. I'm going to try and make a film about him about 20 years' time and fail, obviously.
Don't sign up to that. Honestly, I'm warning you now. Don't sign up to that. Thanks, everybody who has been watching us live tonight. And if you are listening back to the audio, means a lot to us. Just give a 5-star review on the audio. It's all about ask for. It costs you nothing to do that. Like the video on YouTube. Become a subscriber. If you want to give a bit back, it is just starting from $2.99 a month to become a member. Where you off?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking us to...
I need one, though. I'll go. Well, one you now.
Decker's really desperate for a toilet. I thought they were just leaving us to continue this by myself. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Watch what you're doing. Ta-ra.
Don't throw batteries in the bin.
I think that's a very good tip, Bestie, and one that you continue to see every week.
It's just environmentally sound.
Yeah, it is.
Asda and Shields, that's how Shields have got I used it last week. It's great. You put your batteries in there.
But if you live somewhere else, I'm sure they've got them closer to you.
Come to South Shields
To
specifically.
deliver your batteries.
Jarrah Morrison's do it. South Shields Asda do it. South Shields Lidl do it, but don't go there because that's near mine, and it's hard to park at the best of times.
Never mind all you delivering batteries.
Yeah. But
Thanks,
South Shields Asda,
everybody.
get yourselves here. It's beyond
See
the
you
booze aisle
later.
bit.
Ta-ra.